Hello, my name is Mr. Chipman, and here we are answering the 2026 FRQ questions. This is 2026. See, I just did question 1. There's 2026. It's exciting. It's like Christmas. Apparently, this question has brought in some curiosity. I've seen a lot of fun memes on question 2, FRQ question 2. And you know what? It wasn't that bad. So let's go through it. Eukaryotic cells use small interfering RNA, siRNA molecules to regulate the expression of certain genes by binding to complementary sequences of target mRNAs. This binding causes the protein AGO to cleave target mRNAs. As a result of the cleavage, RNAs are not translated. So this is important moving forward. Describe one location where ribosomes are found in eukaryotic cells. So as usual, part A does not need the context here. Ribosomes are found in one of two places. They're free-floating in the cytoplasm, or they are bound to the endoplasmic reticulum, thus creating the rough ER. Moving on. Parts B, C, and D. To investigate the role of AGO in the cleavage of mRNA, transcribed from two genes, gene G and gene H, scientists determine the amount of gene G and gene H mRNA produced in cells with three different AGO genotypes. And so you have homozygous for wild type, which is ++, heterozygous, and then homozygous for non-functional protein, which is the --. Scientists then calculated the amount of gene G and gene H produced from cells of each genotype relative to the ++ cells, and the results are shown in the table below. I think there's a lot of difficulty with this graph, and so this is our first thing. And so as you're coming to something like this, right, this is difficult. There's a lot going on here. Everything is relative to this, right, which is why these are both 1.0 with very little margin of error. And so this is relative to this, right? This is, and so forth. And so the way I chose to graph this is I had two groups. I had gene G and gene H, and then I had separate bars because it's telling you to construct a bar graph. I had separate bars for plus, minus, or plus, minus, and minus, minus for each category, right? And I've drawn my graph over here so you can get a look at it. And so over here on the y-axis, I have the amount of RNA relative to AGO++, right? I have my numbers over here, 1.0, 2.0, 3.0, gene G, gene H, and then I have my graph here drawn, right? You could have, shaded some of these or put lines in them and made a little legend up here. But see how I've labeled these down here on the x-axis, so that this would be sufficient to get your points. All right. So there's 3 points. Part 2, based on the table, determine all cells in which the amount of gene G mRNA produced is statistically the same as the amount of cells with AGO. And so we're just looking at gene G here, and notice that all three of these fall within the error bars. And so you could say all the cells. I don't think this is asking us to bring gene H in. If it is asking us to bring gene H in, then you would say the positive gene H as well. But I don't think that's what's happening there. So part C. Based on the table, describe the relationship between the number of wild-type copies of AGO gene and the amount of gene H in the cells. And so as the amount of gene H, let's see, what did I write here? I'm just going to make sure that mRNA increases as the number of wild-type alleles decrease. So we have a lot of, we have two wild-type alleles here, 1 and 0, and notice what's happening to the amount of mRNA available. It is increasing. Good. Part 2, based on data in the table, calculate the percent by which the average amount of AGO minus increases compared to plus minus for gene H. And so it starts at 2 and it goes to 3. And so this is just a percent change problem. It goes up by 1, which is 50% of 2, and so 50% change. Part D. The scientists claim that the siRNA binding and AGO cleavage of mRNA plays a greater role in the regulation of gene H expression than in gene G expression. Okay, so this problem, for some reason, just made me really think a lot. And I think I'm overthinking it quite a bit here. Feel free to tell me if you think I'm wrong in the comments. But, gene expression is 2 steps, right? Transcription and translation. And so what we see here in gene H is we have a buildup of mRNA, right? A tremendous amount of mRNA is building up. This is literally 3 times as you have this protein that's absent, right? 3 times the amount. And so what's not happening is the mRNA is not being cleaved, right? It's not being cleaved, and so then transcription is not being prevented. And so this scientist says that it plays a greater role in the regulation of gene H expression than in gene G expression. And so the way that I would answer this is I would say, and because it's kind of vague a little bit, I would say that gene H does not seem to be able to express its gene, right? Because there's a buildup of RNA in the, and it doesn't seem to be going to translation. Now, another way that you could read this is you could say that RNAs are not, because of this, RNAs are not being cleaved, and then translation is able to go forward. And so there's a couple ways you could look at this. I think the wording is vague, and it could just be that it's vague because I'm misunderstanding it. And so feel free to respond to that in the comments below. But more mRNA is produced in gene H, and so I think that that's going to lead to more gene expression. And so, does it play a greater role? It depends on what you mean by that. And so, this one is going to be interesting to see when the solution guide comes out. So we'll see. Anaphase 1 of meiosis is blocked in mice with AGO-. Scientists hypothesize that the block in meiosis occurs because the continued presence of spindle fiber stabilizing protein prevents the chromosomes from separating. Based on the table, explain how AGO- could cause this effect on dividing cells. And so because there's no AGO, there's no cleaving of the mRNA, then there's no pre-translational control, and thus the protein is continually present and the chromosomes are not able to separate. So this kind of goes with part 1 in the same kind of thought there. So yeah, I didn't think this one was as bad as people were making it out to be. I think maybe the graph was the hardest part, but let me know what you struggled with. Let me know if you have questions. Thanks for watching.